welcome back to my channel. My name is Brittany. Today I'm going to be talking about how to survive your first semester of nursing school. Today I'm going to talk about the notes style and how I organized my notes, and also study groups and office hours, because all of these three things together were the holy trinity of me passing my first semester of nursing school. Without further ado, here we go. Okay, how I study for nursing school, what I do is I look at the pacing schedule and I read the assigned reading for the night, and it's usually about 100 pages. From there, I have a notebook and I just write down key points that stood out to me, any definitions, any procedures that I think need to be explained more, just because I'm not familiar with them. So from there, I have my PowerPoints all printed out and laminated. This sounds crazy, trust me, I know, but this has been a lifesaver. All of my notes are laminated, they won't get ruined, they're all in one place. So this is what I'm using. It has tabs that are organized by chapter. So this thing right here, I believe it's a 4-inch binder. All the pages are laminated. I know everyone makes jokes that if you laminate your notes that your tears won't ruin them. That's true, but I also have a girl in my study group, her name's Annie, and when she eats, like, she somehow gets food on her notes every single time. So laminating your notes is just a good way to avoid any mess and or smudging. So then I print out the notes for the assigned reading. I add anything from here that I feel like needs to be explained more on the slides. So that way I'm prepared, I'm ready to go for class, and the fun doesn't stop there. So for class time, I have, yet again, another notebook. And in this note, I just take down the notes that my instructor says, pretty much word for word. I don't like to not write when I'm in class. Anything to keep me moving is good. At the top of this one, I also have tabs just to keep me organized on which section and what lecture was which. Then after class, I meet with my study group. We have 4 people. Finding your perfect study group is really, really difficult, because too many people and it's a distraction, and too few of people, it just doesn't work well, because not enough people are bringing something to the table, or everyone's super stressed out. So my study group, there's not a lot of gossip going on, and we all just love and support each other so much, and that's really important, to have a positive energy around you and just surround yourself by loving people. Don't get caught up in the drama. Don't get caught up in what someone else is doing. You need to worry about what you're doing, if you're doing it right, and how you can be better. And thankfully our study group just lifted each other up. We were there for each other. We were super supportive, and it's become my little family. The best way to find your own little family in nursing school is just ask. Say, hey, do you want to study together? How are you studying? Don't be afraid to ask someone their studying tips and tricks, because it honestly helps. The notebook idea was Callie's. She is a semester ahead of me, and I love her so much. She's doing amazing. We came up with a system of meeting, and an hour after class and an hour before class, we discuss what stood out to us during either the reading or the lecture. There's something that someone has in their notes that we don't, and then we just talk about some things that we don't understand and that maybe we need some more clarification on. We also do practice questions together. I cannot stress this enough. Practice questions have saved my life. You can never do too many practice questions. When I first started this semester, our professors told us, go to Barnes & Noble, get some books, just sit there, drink coffee, do practice questions. And I was like, that's insane. I don't need to do that. Like, it's fine. And then I made a 70 on my first quiz. And I remember when I made that 70 on my first quiz, just sitting there thinking, wow, like, I'm a horrible person. I took a spot for someone who could be doing way better than I am. So I went to my professor's office hours and they said, practice questions. Just do as many as you can, expose yourself to as many different styles, and in-class review questions are especially good to do because the wording. I would say about 50 practice questions a day, but I would take a break in between because at some point the words start to blur together and it's just not healthy to just sit there and just cram and cram and cram. Me and the group would sit down and we would just do practice questions, and a group member suggested that we do whiteboards, and I love this idea. This idea has helped us tremendously on the final. How we use the whiteboards is we would take our practice questions, we would cut them up or shake them, someone would pull the question and ask it, and then we would write down our answers on the whiteboard, count to 3, and then show everyone our answers. If we got it right, we would make sure everyone knew the information, that we were all good to move on. If someone got them wrong, that way we could sit down, we could have an in-depth conversation and explain why it was wrong, and just to make sure that our thought process is where it needed to be. This helped so much with learning electrolytes. Unbelievable. Once I'm done talking with my group on anything that stood out to us and what we think, how the lecture went, I go home from there and I create just a 1-page of all the information. This one's for bladder, this one's for bowel. And this right here is a really good review of the information in that chapter. It just hits on the highlights that I think were important, and it's a good refresher right before a test or a quiz. It's not everything, but it's things that I think I need to remember, like some definitions and policy and procedures, and just what different things are, different types of catheters. That is a lifesaver. Learn the information is 1, reading and taking notes, 2, putting my notes onto the PowerPoint that I printed out, 3, the discussion before lecture, and 4, the discussion after lecture. And that way I have 4 different exposures to the same material. I've heard it 4 different ways. I've heard it not only from my professor, but from my peers, and that way I just feel like I have all the information in my brain, which is the end goal. Just remember to not get discouraged. Nursing school is hard. Your first semester is really hard. You've never been exposed to the questions before. The way they ask the questions are just a completely different format than anything you've ever been asked in your prerequisites. So just take your time, breathe. Understand that if you get a 70 on your first quiz, it does not ruin you. The best you can do is pick yourself up, take more notes, pay more attention, do more practice questions, and remember that you're going to be in charge of someone's life one day. So you can't expect the professors to just feed you the information. You have to work for it. You have to understand it. You need to help yourself first. That's what I did. I do about 50 practice questions a day. If I need help, I'll go to an office hour or 2. Your first semester of nursing school is it's difficult, but it's doable. You can do it. Just remember that making a 70 on your first quiz does not determine everything. I actually, with the help of my study group meeting, an hour before class and an hour after, reading my notes, putting them in my binder, and just practice questions, I ended up making a 93.3 on my first exam. So it's doable. Thanks so much for watching, and if you have any tips or tricks that you used for your first semester of nursing school, let us know down below.